Y'all remember my Transformers EarthSpark video and how I said that explaining gender identity to 7-year-old children is manipulative? Remember how many creators mentioned me in their videos as a hateful bigot? Well, a recent study has came out in regards to sex-changing surgery. Surgery that those very creators would claim is helpful to those with gender dysphoria. They would call it gender-affirming care, when in reality, it's not very caring to physically, permanently alter someone's body that's going through a psychological issue. The recent study published in Oxford's Journal of Sexual Medicine sampling 107,583 patients found that sex change surgery doubles depression rates among gender dysphoric individuals rather than reducing them. Males who underwent surgery had a depression rate of 25.4% compared to 11.5% in those who did not have the surgery. Likewise, females who underwent surgery had a depression rate of 22.9% compared to 14.6% in those who did not. That is almost double the rate for both parties studied, and since depression is different for each individual, it could lead to some very serious and very devastating outcomes if left unchecked. Sure, it's a stereotype to say that trans people end their lives at a greater rate, that's true, but all stereotypes exist because they are based off of some semblance of reality. This is important because gender dysphoria is a distress brought about by confusion of one's gender. This confusion that in shows like Transformers EarthSpark would be presented to kids that are 7 years old in the pre-operational stage of their development. This stage means that they are still thinking very concretely, not in abstract ways, so they would hear Nightshade's confusion about his gender and accept that as a normality, as a fact. They would have the chance to believe that they themselves are confused as well, and since they literally would then become confused, it's a danger that we shouldn't sit idly by and allow. That's not bigotry, that is caring about the well-being of children, something that I encourage everybody to do. I try to stay away from making this channel a political one, but I'm not capable of having a platform and yet not using it whenever I can to try and make an actual change. Don't let other people, other creators, demonize you and your points whenever there are necessary points to be made, even if it means going against the grain to do so. You can have a platform as well. You can stand against the things that put the lives of our young people at risk, the lives of adults at risk, the lives of the very people in your life at risk. This isn't a condemnation of creators that have unfairly spoken against me. They're just standing for what they believe in, even if one in particular has used very underhanded tactics in order to do so. Just be wary of what you hear in regards to these issues. Be wary of the people that you choose to demonize at the behest of someone else. This can be explained by social contagion theory, the idea that people's thoughts, feelings, and behaviors can be easily influenced by those around them. If you hear enough times that something is good or something is bad, you're more inclined to believe it. This applies to the uptick in gender non-conforming individuals as well. Apps such as TikTok that allow people to share their lives online and see the lives of others to compare themselves with can cause subconscious comparisons between us and those we see. If it seems like a popular trend to identify as a gender other than the one that you were born with, if it seems like it would make you stand out in some way, if it seems like something that everyone else is doing, you'll be more likely to do it as well. It's a saying as old as time, but if your friends were going to jump off a bridge, then are you going to go along with them? If you are currently in a state of convincing others and yourself that you are something that you're not, currently trying to add something in your life to seem special in a world where everyone is, then maybe it's time to truly think about why you are doing it. Instead of confirming lies to be true, instead of encouraging the dangerous delusions of modern society, and instead of pushing that narrative on the impressionable minds of children, maybe we should take a step back and ask ourselves why this trend exists to begin with. That's where the two sides of social contagion take place: behavior contagion and emotional contagion. Behavioral contagion is when people mimic the behaviors of others. This is trends, the fear of missing out, of not fitting in. Emotional contagion is when you subconsciously mimic the emotions of others, where someone can say they feel like they are in a certain certain gender, for example, and then you hear that and then you start feeling the same way, even if you otherwise wouldn't have. This is because of a crowd type of mentality. If you took your kid to a store, or if you are a kid in a store, and you hear a bunch of kids talk about the new, I don't know, freaking RC car that just came out, and how awesome it is, how that's what they want for Christmas, then you're gonna feel more inclined to want that too, because that's what all your friends want, that's what everybody else is getting, that is what you heard is popular. The fact that people go out of their way to deny that as an actual fact when it is something that is represented throughout media for as long as I can remember, something we see on TV shows and movies constantly, something that ads use to help market things, that the entire reason that people go out and do drugs whenever they otherwise wouldn't, because they're in a situation, someone offers them a smoke, everyone else is smoking, they're smoking too. You can apply that with peer pressure of all kinds. That is basically what social contagion theory is. But because social contagion theory can be used as a reason to not say that everybody who believes they're another gender needs to go out and get a daggone surgery to confirm that, and needs constant confirmation that, oh, that's what you're thinking while you're, I don't know, 9 years old and still confused on your place in the world, or 12 years old and still confused with your place in the world. If that's what you believe, then we're gonna confirm it. We're gonna tell you that you are this gender. We're gonna get you these surgeries that you need in order to appear to be the way that you feel right now, and then you can't go back to how you were before if this is just another phase like most things that kids and teens go through. This is something that happens with adults as well. The entire idea of a midlife crisis, of people wanting to relive how they were when they were younger, or do experiences that they didn't when they were younger, or at least do actions that make them feel as if they are younger or appear as if they are younger. It's considered a crisis because it's not the normality, it's not what the person would usually do. It is a phase that people are going through because there's changes in their life, or there's things that are happening that they can't quite come to terms with or come to grips with, or that they want to believe or acknowledge. A midlife crisis usually happens when people start to realize, man, I'm getting old. That's why it's called a midlife crisis, because now you're at a point where you're not just an adult. You've been an adult for a while, you're probably in the swing of things, you've probably been doing the same job every day, waking up, same routine, and you want something to change. Young people are more inclined to buy motorcycles and sports cars and blow money on things that don't really matter, and that's usually what happens in a midlife crisis. Because all those young people were doing it and you want to feel younger, so that's what you do. Now imagine if you weren't an adult that was willing to just go to their senses afterwards and you were actually a child. Imagine if you were a kid that was going through a phase in their life where they wanted to be accepted and liked by everyone, and every time somebody wasn't approving of them, they took it completely personally. Imagine if you were at a point in your life when you were going through hormonal changes, when you were going through puberty, when everything is changing, when you're starting to become attracted to people, whenever things in your life are not as they were before, and you're starting to worry about the future, and you're starting to think more abstractly, you're trying to understand things in a way that you never did when you were younger because you didn't have reason to. You are now worried about what the next few days are going to be. You're worried about what you're going to wear and how your appearance is going to affect things, how people are going to look at you, whether or not people are looking up to you. You're worried about what you say, how you act, who you fit in with, the things you enjoy, whether you enjoy what you enjoy because you should enjoy it, or whether you're just enjoying it because everybody else is. You're worried if you're not good enough at sports because, oh, the cool people, they're doing sports, or you're worried because you're not good enough at playing an instrument and all your friends are great at playing instruments. Or imagine if you're a kid that has some grand dream when they're younger, like, I don't know, being a freaking astronaut, but now you're getting older and you're realizing that, man, there's a lot of math involved with being an astronaut and you're not quite cut out for it. So you're trying to figure out future aspirations and career opportunities that actually make sense for you as a person and not something that you would actually enjoy. You're starting to realize that the George Lopez show might be your life, and you might grow up to work in a factory even though you had these grand dreams and aspirations of doing something far better. And while you're going through all of this inner turmoil, while you're having all these questions and all these doubts, and you want everybody to like you but you feel like nobody does, and every time that you change just a little bit it feels like such a dramatic thing because you're a kid growing up, getting ready to be an adult, but you don't quite understand what that means yet, and somebody decides that they're going to push questions onto you that you never had before to go along with all the questions that you already have. And this is best case scenario, this is more your teenage years, and now you're here questioning whether or not you're the gender that you're supposed to be because you saw on TikTok that everybody your age is now questioning this, and if they're questioning it, then whoa, holy crap, snap, why are you not questioning it? Maybe you have been the whole time and you didn't even realize it. Man, this TikTok, it's so educational, and that is how these things happen. And that is why I was so mad when I was watching Transformers EarthSpark and I heard a literal child speak up that explained gender identity of a robot that is Cybertronian and was just born, mind you, so even in universe it does not make sense. I want to put that out there. In universe it makes no sense, but you know, we gotta put it in there for those progressive points. A child decides to explain pronouns to Optimus Prime in a kid's show that your kid is listening to, and in this scene they slow everything down, so now your child has to pay attention to this scene. They have to have it hammered home. And in case this scene just didn't make your child think, oh man, maybe I'm not a boy or a girl, maybe I'm not as I was born to be. There's also scenes further in the series where they bring up non-binaryism again. I think they even have a non-binary child explain to Nightshade that non-binary people are to be trusted because they're non-binary. You know, that entire LGBT community thing where all the LGBT people are in a big old giant community where they have to defend each other and all have to back each other's plays as if everybody is a hive mind that should all agree on the same things. And everybody that goes, well, I'm part of the LGBT community, whenever they have some kind of argument they want to make, I don't have much respect for that. I have so much more respect for the people that are gay and are transgender and are actually somebody that would be in the freaking LGBT acronym, and yet they choose to separate themselves from the community and say, this is how I feel, this is my opinion. Because whenever they are able to be an individual with their own individual thoughts and feelings and actions and actually have reasons for why they feel and believe the way that they do, even if I disagree with them on a gigantic level, I have respect for you because you are able to actually have some kind of research and reason and feeling and thought that maybe justifies some of the things that you believe. But whenever people use the community as their basis on why they believe things, that is just such a stupid argument. So bringing the whole, we're a community, I'm non-binary so you can trust me because you're non-binary thing into the freaking situation too, just really rubs me the wrong way. People should feel how they feel because of their own experiences, not because of the experiences of others. I shouldn't question who I am as a person because I saw 13 TikTok videos of people that are going through things similar as me who are questioning who they are as a person, especially when it's something as important as your sex, as your gender, as what you were born to be and what you were born to have. That is an important thing to understand. Your biology will always be different than the biology of the gender that you believe that you are if it is different than the one that you are born with. It will never change. You will never have the DNA of somebody that was born to be a certain gender. That's the fact of the matter. If you go into a hospital and you were born a dude and you're having health problems that dudes only can have, but you sit there and you argue with your doctor that you are a girl, you were born a girl, you're always a girl, and they're not allowed to question that, then that is going to be a whole new problem because they will never be able to go to the root of your problems, never be able to figure out what is wrong with you because you are giving them the false idea that you're something you're not. And I really just needed to rant about this because I see articles time and time again where people are trying to convince everyone around them that going out and getting gender reassignment surgery, that'll save a kid's life. I see that constantly, that kind of manipulation, that kind of emotional manipulation that if you do this, it's going to be the answer to all your problems, and it's not. It's not that simple. You can do this and make things 10 times worse, but everybody refuses to acknowledge that as a fact because that goes against the grain. It goes against what everybody wants everything to be normalized as. If I start bringing out the cons of every situation, then maybe people will start thinking, and they might make decisions based on the knowledge that they actually have. They might make decisions based on actual research and figures and numbers, and maybe things will be made with common sense in mind instead of being made because of emotions alone. If everybody acted on their emotions instead of thinking about things logically, then this would be a terrible world to live in. People will get mad and they'll just kill each other, and there won't be any repercussions for it because those repercussions would be a logical thing. Some people would feel that murder is wrong, some people would feel that murder is justified because they were mad. Well, if we're gotta go by everybody's emotions all at once, then nobody can really be right, and you might as well just not outlaw anything. And that is the kind of spiral that I think of every time I see things like this that just completely block out one side and go, oh, that's bias. It goes against what I believe and must be biased. Oh shoot, it doesn't line up with the research that I choose to acknowledge, so I'm not going to acknowledge it. That's how I should do things. I hate this world. Come on, guys. You got the freedom to think, so maybe think a little more. Got the freedom to do research, so get online and research it. Don't just see the first freaking article and go with it. I'm tired. I am so tired. I am tired of seeing the death rates go up. I am tired of seeing depression rates go up. I am tired of seeing negative consequences to these actions that everybody is saying is positive. It is tearing me to pieces. And I really had to talk about it, okay? We live in a world that just seems to keep getting worse. It doesn't matter what somebody says, because if you don't believe in their point of view, you're going to just disregard everything that they say and everything that they bring up and everything that they believe, because we live in a freaking generation where everybody has to be right. Everybody's thinking about themselves. Well, I believe, well, I think, and it doesn't matter what you believe and what you think, because no matter what you say or what you do, you're never going to be completely right. So you got to go out of your way and you got to do the research and you got to figure out the things that you truly believe, and your beliefs can change over time. One second you can believe one thing and you can believe something different the next, but make sure that your values, your beliefs, your principles are backed up by something. Make sure that you actually do the research before you go out on a limb and defend something, especially when that something could harm other people. I believe what I believe because I firmly believe it, because I've researched my beliefs, because my beliefs have changed over time based on my experiences, based on the experiences of others that I've talked to, based on the experiences of others that I've witnessed, based on article after article after research, based on what I have seen people disregard, based on what I have seen people use to justify things. I believe my beliefs based on a lot of thinking, and that is just all I ask. Even if you disagree with everything I've said, if you disagree with everything that I believe, if you disagree with me as a person, if you hate everything about me, if you have the good sense to actually go out of your way and research both sides of the argument and understand both sides of the argument, I respect you. I will respect you if you are the worst human on this planet, if you have justifiable reasons for why you're so terrible. I won't like you. I will never like you if you're the worst person on the planet, but if you can back up your depravity with reasons that I can understand, I can at least respect you for living out the life that you believe is right, no matter how wrong it is. And that's a controversial take to have, but you know what? Whatever, I don't care. You want to argue with me about it? There's plenty of research you can do. I'll respect you for doing it. Gosh, y'all, just don't be a hive mind. Think for yourselves. Don't watch the grifters that agree with you no matter what side of the aisle they're on. If you're really right-leaning, then don't just watch Andy Pants Gaming or frickin' Ranting for Vengeance to get all your great right-leaning news. If you're very left-leaning, then don't just watch frickin' Ethan Is Online or Hassan to get all your left-leaning news. That kind of echo chamber bullcrap is what makes everybody the brainlets they are today. So yeah, I just wanted to rant for a little bit. If I just went out of my way and split my audience again and made everyone hate me again, then well, I guess that's what I did. I'm so tired of sitting over here and keeping my mouth shut because I don't want to offend everybody. I liked it a lot better when I was saying what I felt, fueled by logic and emotions. Even if it meant I was gonna get some things wrong, I would rather sit over here and run my mouth about what I truly think and what I truly believe, and have to apologize later because I said something out of anger that I didn't really mean in the way that I may have presented it because I was passionate about something, than sit over here and regret the fact that I didn't say anything at all. I can't take back the words I never said, so I would rather say things and take them back later, as long as I can have some kind of self-respect and dignity for the fact that I was willing to speak my mind. That's all I'm asking of you. Go out of your way and actually figure out what you believe, research things, research both sides, have a platform, speak your mind, do whatever you feel is right, but make sure that what you do is what you as a person believe, not what you've been told to believe, not what everybody around you believes, not what you've seen only positive things about so you decided not to ever look into the negatives. Go out of your way and actually research the things that you decide to stand for, because Sasuke, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything, and you'll be one of the people making a fool of yourself standing for things that are wrong. You'll be standing for things that you actually actually feel would be morally bankrupt if you went out of your way and actually researched what you're standing for. Just because an opinion is popular doesn't mean an opinion is right. Just because someone is louder than everyone else doesn't mean that what they have to say is actually worth listening to. Just teach yourself how to differentiate between it. Anyway, I am ready for the comments below, and if you actually have a conversation like a normal person with basic decency, I'll talk to you about it. We can have a nice long argument, or you can post things that make you look stupid, and I'll make sure that you do look stupid in whatever I decide to reply with, because I find roasting you guys a lot of fun. It doesn't mean that I hate you or have any malice towards you. It just means that I'm enjoying myself, and it's based on the fact that you decided to comment rudely and I just decided to respond with it. I just want to make it abundantly clear that it is all in good fun, okay? If I do take it too far or I feel like I've hurt your feelings, I do try to respond and let you know that that wasn't my intention, and I want to let you know here at the end of the video that if I hurt your feelings because I roasted you back, it was not my intention to do so. But if you actually want to make a difference and have an honest conversation, then you may want to make that abundantly clear by having an honest and respectful approach. So yeah, we'll see what you do in the comments below, and for more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day. Thank you.